Listos, okay. Próxima vez, I think we need to get Bruce Buffer to do the announcements. I'd like to walk out here like I'm going into a fight or something. I think that would be much better. Buenas tardes a todos. My name is Patrick Skinner. I'm definitely going to speak mostly English, so feel free to ask questions in Spanish. I'll do the best I can. I am a DEVREL and a content manager for Developer DAO. I actually help a great deal with a lot of the hackathons and competitions, sponsorships, investment deals, and everything for Web3 technology and Web3 engineers. And so we do hackathons almost on a monthly basis, sometimes twice a month, to give engineers opportunities to be able to build really, really cool stuff on blockchain technology. So that's why today I'm going to be talking about Web3 in the general sense of Web3, which is pretty awesome because, you know, we've had a conversation about blockchain mining or Bitcoin mining. We've had a conversation about NFTs, and I feel like this presentation fills the gaps between those two things and really helps people understand what is really, at the end of the day, Web3 and what are the solutions that can be created, what are the problems that we're really solving. Go ahead. So yeah, this is me. I have a couple different projects that I've built. The one under Developer DAO here is Guardian. Guardian's actually a pretty cool project. I actually built node runners, which literally all they do is they don't necessarily mine the Bitcoin or any type of currency, but they support those infrastructures, those chains. And so anytime somebody's doing any type of transactions or anything like that on chain, and you see those gas fees, a lot of those gas fees are actually attributed to those nodes. And so imagine having a device that just basically supports a blockchain, but it also supports the immediate community for like natural disasters. So that's exactly what Guardian is really cool sets of sensors and things like that, and allowing people to be able to make money supporting blockchain technology while also being able to create an alert system for their immediate area for like natural disasters. That's pretty cool. Shinjitsu, if anybody has ever heard of decentralized identity, that's a decentralized identity application that I built specifically for the jiu-jitsu community. It's a really fun project. Actually, both of these were actually hackathon projects, and they were both a lot of fun to work with. Agami is decentralized NFC chip RFID technology. So I take basically scannable technology and allow people to authenticate, whether that is an authentic product or an authentic even person. You can use it for identity, you can use it for access to a physical building, you can use it to access to a community, all kinds of different stuff. So it's a lot of fun. I do a lot of just hacking, which is a lot of fun within the Web3 space. Next slide. Okay, so what is really the difference between like Web3, Web2, and Web 1? Okay, so starting off with Web 1, it's read-only. So if I'm going onto a website of any sort, I get to read what's on the website necessarily. My computer reads that the message that's being sent. But I can't write on the internet. This is obviously before social media. This is before any type of blogging or any of those, being able to buy things on the internet. I'm only able to just receive information. And then to be able to write information onto the internet in any way, shape, or form, you basically had to be a software engineer of some sort to be able to do that. Until we finally got read-write capabilities into Web 2. So that's when a lot of things really started changing. You saw the emergence of social media, you saw the emergence of e-commerce and all kinds of different things. But between Web 1 and Web 2, one thing is very, very clear that we lost in that process, and that's privacy. Because at that point, between Web 1 and Web 2, everything started requiring our personal information in order to interact with these applications or with these different social media communities or anything like that. Even some forums required a lot of information to be a part of. So pretty much anything in the middle there just means whatever was going in or whatever was coming out, it was going through some sort of middleman. That middleman being some sort of company, and that company received and used that information however they saw fit. So it didn't matter if you were sending photos to your girlfriend that you probably shouldn't be sharing on the internet at all. Somebody at some point had access to those photos, whether you liked it or not. And so that is a big, big element that many people, especially when we're much younger, we're not aware of that. But at the end of the day, all that information exists within some sort of company database, which is really terrifying. Okay, so then Web 3. What is the biggest difference between Web 2 and Web 3? First and foremost is centralization versus decentralization. What is the definition between those two differences? First off, centralization means that all of that information exists within one space and it's not owned by you. Okay, so that information means that information existing in somebody else's server means that as soon as I write that information, I save that information, and I give that to somebody, at some point there's a very high chance that I literally signed a document. We see those terms of service or the terms and agreements. You click OK, and you probably just signed off all rights to the privacy that you want or typically think you have when you're trying to share information, whether it's personal information, whether it's company information, or anything like that. It's a terrifying idea, and it's done in a way that we kind of just become okay with just quickly scrolling past the terms of service and terms of agreements, simply because we just want to use the application. That's all we're there for. But then you don't really realize what you're selling at the end of the day when you do that. And you end up becoming the product. That's the worst part, is in most of these applications, if you're using a free application, free applications simply mean that you yourself are the product. Yes, if you're using something for free, you're the one being sold. That's at the end of the day. Now, in Web 3, decentralized data, meaning information being stored in a decentralized way. First off, a little bit more complex of a explanation. That means my data doesn't exist in one single place. That means, if a server farm goes down in Colorado or something like that, I don't have access to that information. Now, in a decentralized world, that information is spliced into hundreds, maybe thousands of different separate parts. So if for some reason 1, 2, 3, 10, maybe even 100 of those devices go down, I still have access to the majority of that information. So decentralization is a really cool way to make sure that you always have access. Now, privacy. I literally own everything that is on decentralized storage for me, okay? Nobody can sell it. Nobody can manipulate it. Nobody can tell me, you need to take that down. That's another thing, is privacy on top of censorship. Nobody can censor me in saying that, you know what, I don't like your view on this, so we're going to screen you and then take it down. Nobody can do that to me when it comes to decentralized storage or information. So that's a very, very important aspect to this. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so some of the problems that I'm obviously already covering is centralized control of data. Centralized control of data means, one, I probably don't own the data that I think I own, and two, somebody else has full right to basically tell me whether I should be able to talk about certain things, whether I should be able to post certain pictures, post certain videos, or anything like that. I should be able to share certain information. I should be able to host certain information. Somebody always has middleman control on that. And so at the end of the day, as soon as it goes on Web 2 internet, most likely I no longer own that information. That's kind of a scary, terrifying idea. Think of it this way too, social media users. How many times have we heard of a TikToker or an Instagrammer having their account taken down? Like somebody having their account taken down. Imagine your entire business going down because somebody didn't like what you said. That is terrifying. Like just the idea that I could be here and I'm like, doing my thing, doing my little TikTok dance or whatever, and then somebody said, you know what? We don't like you, and they take it down. Or somebody said that nobody else should like you, so they cancel you or anything like that. And then eventually the platform takes you down. Just to think that my entire business could be that vulnerable is such a terrifying idea. I mean, I think a lot of us, we say, oh man, you know, so-and-so, great creator, but he got taken down. We sit here and think, no, that's not gonna happen to me. Until it does, until you do have that post that you cherish, or that post you were super vulnerable about, or that post that you were really honest about, or maybe you were sharing some information that people really needed to know about, it gets taken down. That's such a terrifying idea when it comes to censorship. And so really in this world, Web3 is such a massively proponent thing. And I love that you brought up Lens Protocol, because Lens Protocol is an amazing social media application for those that want to be able to practice social media in a decentralized way, where they own their own information, they own their timeline, they own their pictures. Nobody's gonna censor me there. It's an amazing platform. I love that as an example. Lack of privacy, I think I beat that one down pretty hard. Intermediaries, those middlemen. Now, intermediaries isn't just about social media. It's about payment protocols, banks. It's about online payment systems, PayPal, Stripe, all of these different intermediaries. Has anybody used Stripe here? Stripe? Okay, we have a couple. Excellent, good. Has anybody had problems with Stripe? Yeah, okay. Imagine having this online program where you're like, I just want to get paid from my clients, or I want to get paid from my customers. But then you have to work with this middleman that is supposed to make your life easier, but essentially they hang on to money, they make it really hard to get the money out, and they go through all kinds of different layers to make, just honestly, you as a business person, your life is miserable sometimes. Now, of course, you know, you can have Stripe accounts and everything that work out great, but on top of that, they take a percentage. Do you know what that percentage is nationally? It's about 3% right now. They actually raised it, I believe, this last year. Yeah, it was at 2 to 3, yeah. So they raise it, and they're taking 3%. So in essence, every $100, I lose $3. I mean, that definitely accumulates after time. Internationally, have you seen those fees? Anywhere from 5 to 7%. Like, that's such a big chunk of the money that I'm supposed to make. So if I just sold a product for $100, that product cost me $50, okay? I marked it up 100%, okay? And then on top of that, I sold it internationally, all right? Now I gotta make sure I gotta pay, you know, international shipping fees, stuff like that. And then Stripe takes out 7%. That's an additional $7. That's cutting into what I've earned so much. So the biggest problem is with Stripe, PayPal, anything like that, they're extremely difficult middlemen to work with. And as a business, they take up so much time to set up and run effectively. Now in Web3, I don't require a middleman. It's between me and my customer, and the middleman is a Web3 contract. So that contract is allowed to me to basically elicit, this is what you're being sold, this is what I'm going to deliver, and this is how I'm going to deliver it. And then that person can sign that contract in a decentralized way, accept it, and then as soon as they accept, that basically initiates that transaction. I don't need a middleman in that situation. It's super, super important to be able to open up the more entrepreneurs and more businesses to more international clients. At the end of the day, I want to be able to work with people not just in Colombia, not just in the United States, or even just in Latam. I want to work with, I want to be able to hire an engineer that's in Guyana or in Brazil or in any type of other country where I can possibly give somebody else an opportunity. Maybe I meet an amazing content creator in Nigeria. Maybe I meet an amazing front-end developer in Zambia or something like that. I want to be able to work with these people seamlessly, but if I have those middlemen in place, they have rules and restrictions that make it very, very difficult for me to do that. So in Web3, I have that ability to do that. As long as I'm meeting all the legal structure that's required, it makes it very seamless for me to make sure that I can pay those people. I don't have to convert anything in different currencies or anything like that. I can make sure that they receive a currency that they themselves can work with very easily. So That's another issue with intermediaries. Perfect. Censorship, we definitely went into that pretty hard. Security vulnerabilities. Okay. Now, this is such an interesting topic because Web3 is kind of coming out of this phase right now where security was the worst on Web3. I can't tell you how many times I've heard of rug pulls, or I've heard of people getting scammed, or people getting their wallets drained because they connect their crypto wallet to the wrong application or anything like that. But we're finally at a space now where we have amazing wallet security, an amazing infrastructure that it doesn't happen anymore. It's still happens to an extent, but we're getting so much better. Now, let's talk about other vulnerabilities. Who here has heard of the current craze of SIM swaps? Anybody heard of SIM swapping? Okay, this is really popular in the United States right now, and I would not be surprised if this starts happening in Colombia very soon. Reason why it's happening in the United States is because it's a lot easier to get a lot of money out of SIM swapping. So SIM swapping is essentially, I take somebody's phone number, I have their phone number, I know who owns this phone number, and I call their phone provider. In this case, it's Claro. I'm gonna call Claro, and I'm gonna say, oh, hey, my name's Wanda. I'm not Wanda. And I'm gonna tell you, I lost my phone, but I have this SIM card here. Can we swap out this SIM card so that I can make sure that I have access to my phone number again? And Claro's like, claro que sí, yeah, absolutely. Here, what's your cédula? Okay, give you my cellular number, give you all those details and everything. And then now I have access to your phone number. Okay, what is the problem with having access to your phone number? 2FA, okay? Who here has heard of two-factor authentication? Has anyone had to ever get a code from their phone number to get access to an application, whether it's Bancolombia or Da Vivienda or any of those? Two-factor authentication is pretty normal for that. But it's actually super easy for me to get access to your bank account simply through 2FA. That is mind-blowing, and that's honestly a massive vulnerability that does not exist inside Web3. Inside Web3, I can't call your crypto wallet provider and try to swap access to your crypto wallet provider or anything like that. I can't gain access unless somehow I manage to get your private keys. Now, private key security is obviously a conversation that needs to be had, especially with people that are very new with Web3. But right now, at this point, Web3 infrastructure is very, very quickly becoming the much more secure opportunity and the secure option when it comes to banking or purchases or private identity. Go ahead. So I want to talk a little bit about this is Web 2, this is Web 3, okay? So people want to say, okay, Web 3, I'm new to it. How can I use Web 3? What are some applications that I'm familiar with that have maybe a Web 3 alternative? Okay, let's take a look. Dropbox. Okay, oh man, I love this Dropbox one because I was just talking to the hackers about this. Dropbox, I can store documents, videos, music, anything like that, and store it and share it however I want. Now, if we go over to the far right, I was talking to the hackers, Arweave. Arweave is a single blockchain that is literally called the permanent storage blockchain, okay? I love Arweave. Arweave is so amazing because I can use Arweave without being some insane software engineer. I can be a pretty basic software engineer and build some cool stuff. Now, let's say I'm not a software engineer. Can I use Arweave? Absolutely. There's two applications you can download on your phone right now. ArDrive and, what was the other one? Oh, sorry. And then Accord, sorry, A-K-O-R-D. Those are basically Dropbox, but it's permanent storage. Imagine who here is probably paying right now or has had paid in the past for Dropbox monthly? Yeah, okay. Dropbox makes that information available to you, but the moment you stop paying is the moment that information is no longer available to you, which is terrifying. That information could be super important to me or super important to my business, but with Dropbox, if I stop paying, it's no longer accessible. Arweave, I have free storage to a certain limit, and then if I want to expand that storage, I'm basically just buying available space for me on the blockchain, which is really cool. So like I can take all my documents, and if I run out of space, then I can just pay one time, not monthly, one single time to gain space on the blockchain to be able to store more information. So instead of, let's say over here, I'm paying $20 a month, over here I can get equal storage, $20 payment one time, and I have all that storage forever. That's my information. I own that space on the blockchain, which is really, really cool option. Filecoin Saya, I can store other information off as well, and I can share that as well through my applications. So if I want to store videos, or if I want to store documents or anything like that, I can use Filecoin and Saya to do that. Google and Snowflake, we have Streamer, Eraser, and Ocean. So like if you want to do decentralized searching, or if you want to be able to surf things without having to share your personal information or your data, these are great options. GoDaddy, okay, I'm going to hit GoDaddy pretty hard, because GoDaddy, if I want to own a domain, my domain is patrickskinner.tech, that's my website, okay? But I have to pay monthly for that. So what if I want a website that I only have to pay one time for and I own forever? You have two options, actually three. You have ENS, which my ENS address is patrickskinner.eth, yeah. And I also have an unstoppable domain for one of my businesses. And then I have an Arweave domain as well. I don't have to pay monthly or annually to have my website anymore. Another cool feature of this is with ENS, it's connected to my crypto wallet. So I'm going to say, oh, hey, I hope you like this presentation. So if you want to tip me, you can tip me at patrickskinner.eth, and I take any form of crypto. And sure enough, you can just type into your crypto wallet my ENS address, and that will connect to my crypto wallet, and you can tip me. Such a cool feature. This is great for creators. This is great for influencers. This is really great for coaches or anything like that. If you find that the information that is being provided is very valuable, it's a very, very easy way to do it in a decentralized way. Now, let's say in this case, okay, I'm originally from the United States, so please don't pay me in Colombian pesos. This is a great option to be able to just pay in almost any currency, and I can be able to on-ramp or off-ramp that in any way that I want that works for me in a fiat currency. So this is a great option. Spotify, Audius, that's a great one, which is also, there's actually several different options for decentralized music. Medium is for blogging, which Mirror is really, really cool, because I can actually put a paywall if I want to, or another really cool feature that's in beta right now that Mirror has is you just wrote a blog that I really, really like. Man, you dropped some heat on NFTs. So on that blog, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to share it. But because I shared it, you're getting paid and I'm getting paid. That's a really cool feature with blogging, that like I liked your information so much that I want to pay for it, but by me paying for it and sharing it, that I can get paid too. That just shows how much value your information has. SEO is not saying how valuable you are. Somebody that paying you is telling you how valuable you are. That's amazing. So, and then last but not least, Upwork. Has anybody used Upwork here? Freelancers, anything like that, coaches, stuff? Okay. Really quick, Upwork is a really easy, quick way to be able to get jobs for pretty much anything online. So if I'm a graphic designer, I can hop on Upwork, put some of my portfolio stuff on there, and somebody can pay me on Upwork. The Web3 version of that is Brain Trust, because Upwork, I sell my service for $100. If I sell my service for about $100, they're going to take somewhere between $10 to $15. It's a big chunk of money to lose when you're doing work. But Brain Trust is actually a very, very small portion of your contract. So it's almost just gas fee, where if I'm charged for $100, I might lose $2. Might. And that's a great way. And the best part is, with Brain Trust, I can work with anybody in the world as long as it's on crypto. It's a really, really cool system to use. Go ahead. So I'm going to hit on a little bit about carbon footprints. So carbon footprint is a really, really interesting topic because Elizabeth Warren, likes to talk about how terrible blockchain and Bitcoin and stuff like that is on the ecosystem. I hate to tell you, but your jewelry that you're wearing is probably worse on the ecosystem. The air transport, actually, as a matter of fact, air transport is hilarious. As much Bitcoin has created on carbon footprint, I love the mentioning of Taylor Swift. Her jet by herself, her jet, nobody else's, has done more carbon footprint than all of Bitcoin. I'm not kidding. Like, just Taylor Swift's jet has done more carbon footprint than all of Bitcoin together. That is mind-blowing because the conversation that we have on government that Bitcoin is so bad, but you have famous people that are probably accumulating 10 times more than what Bitcoin can. It's massive. And the best part about this is this information is old. As we continue to update blockchain technology, our carbon footprint gets even smaller, which is crazy. Now, we just talked about storage. So blockchain storage versus server farms. Server farms create a significantly more carbon footprint than blockchain storage. Blockchain storage is such a minute portion in comparison to server farms. So if I build an application and I start getting all of this traction and all these people using my application, if I'm deployed on the blockchain, I'm going to create a much smaller footprint than me trying to use any type of server farm. So it's amazing. And yet we have so many other things that are creating such a higher carbon footprint. Go ahead. Okay, so streaming, storage, and privacy. I want to talk about this a little bit because I kind of flipped some of the conversation simply because this is kind of the topic on specifically with the hackathon. But with the hackathon, we really are talking about data streaming, storage, and privacy. So let's just talk about what it is to deploy an application in a Web3 sense. I like to look at this in three ways. I like to look at this as like Web 2 with some Web3 features, or Web 2.5, where it's kind of like in the middle, and then full-on Web 3. So how do I break that down? Web 2 with some Web 3 features is really, it's a Web 2 application, but what I'm really doing is I'm just kind of using some sort of, blockchain technology in there. Maybe it's an API, maybe I'm reading and writing some information, but it's really a Web 2 application, okay? Web 2.5 probably means that my front end of my application, the things that my users see and use, is Web 2, but all the interactions and all the exchanges and all the information reading and writing is all Web 3. So that's kind of a Web 2.5 sense. Why is this important to describe? That means, okay, as much as the upkeep goes on Web 3, I don't have a lot of upkeep other than making sure that my contracts are still doing good, that maybe if I have a relayer, it's continuously being funded or anything like that. But I don't have to pay for server space or anything like that. That's, as soon as it's deployed, it's running and it's doing its thing. Now, on the Web 2 side, I obviously have to pay for hosting, I have to pay for a domain, I have to pay for maybe some sort of other data storage for like personal information or anything like that for my users. That stuff starts to get more expensive as my users grow. So that's kind of a Web 2.5 business, the middle of the road. Now, a full-on Web 3 business means that my application, the middle layer, and the back end, smart contracts and all, are all deployed on the blockchain, which means I no longer have to make monthly payments on anything. I don't have to make monthly payments on servers. I don't have to make monthly payments on a domain. I don't need to make monthly payments on any type of analytics services or anything like that. It just runs, which is where businesses need to be going really, really soon, because the amount of money that's spent just on upkeep is astronomical. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars go into things like AWS and Hello? Oh, there we go. Anyways, So data streaming. So what is the difference between like data streaming? Is that where I'm at right now? Sweet, oh yeah. Okay, what is the difference between data streaming in a centralized and a decentralized world? First off is censorship resistance, meaning if something's being live streamed, or this could be any type of data whatsoever, video, audio, or just general data, nobody's gonna be able to be there and turn that thing off, okay? If I have data coming from a decentralized source into a decentralized receiver, nobody, it is impossible for anybody to be able to go in the middle and turn it off unless it's me, unless I'm the one that decides to turn it off, okay? That's a really, really important thing. And I'm not even talking about me as the application owner, I'm talking about the user. So if you yourself are streaming data of some sort, you're the only person that can really turn it off. The only other thing that could happen is some sort of infrastructure layer goes down in the middle, which obviously will be probably next to impossible over the next 5 years. But that's a big thing, is censorship. Reduce cost. It's significantly cheaper to stream data in a decentralized way than it is to be able to stream it on centralized servers. Because on a centralized server, I have to basically run a call to a centralized server. That server has to spend something up to be able to have me to receive that information, and that information has to open up a line for me to continuously receive that information, okay? And then as soon as I'm done, it turns off and it goes to the next person kind of thing. That gets extremely expensive in a centralized way, while in a decentralized world, there is no middle layer that requires any of that to happen. So, and then user empowerment, that allows users to be able to create or do whatever they want in any type of streaming fashion. So it really empowers them to own what they create. So a couple of technologies that are really cool for this is LivePeer. I can actually stream decentralized video. So basically, in essence, I can almost build a decentralized version of Netflix if I really want to, using a system called LivePeer. LivePeer is fully decentralized. I can put whatever videos and stuff on it, and then I can allow people to have access to those videos however I see fit, which is a really, really cool system. And then you could very well empower your users by allowing them to upload their own videos through LivePeer. Theta network, it's very much the same thing, where it's basically an infrastructure layer on blockchain that allows me to be able to upload and store videos. Next slide. Hello, there we go, sweet. So decentralized storage, also one of my favorite topics too, because I like to be able to try to store things and not have to pay monthly. One of the worst things I ever had was I was working as a photographer once, and I accidentally had a card expire, and I had a bunch of wedding photos for somebody on Adobe, and I was paying for the cloud storage for all of those wedding photos. But then, because that account went down, that lady no longer had all of her wedding photos, and she never had the opportunity to download them all. Man, I got a really upset call that day. She was so mad because those videos were no longer accessible. And I had to work around however I could to get access to those videos, photos and videos again. So imagine now, just for me to get access to something that technically she and I own, I had to pay somebody else to give me back that access. That is wild. It's wild that, like, if I stop paying for something, that they're just not going to give you access anymore. Even though you created those photos, even though you created those memories, even though those pictures of those people, at that point, you don't own those photos and they don't own those photos anymore. That's just an absurd idea to me. Okay, so then some of the things that also happen with this is enhanced security. If I really want to make sure nobody sees certain photos, I can do that on blockchain in a really, really solid decentralized way. Now, if I hide photos or something like that I didn't want to share with the public, there's a middleman in there that can change that in a few clicks, which is a terrifying idea. How many times have we heard of text messages or photos or videos getting leaked? Leaked photos? I mean, we've heard that by politicians constantly. That's like I feel like that was like the 2021, 2022 career killer, was like text messages and photos, like personal photos and stuff being leaked to the public. And it was always because some hacker or something like that was able to gain access. 10 minutes? Oh, listo. Okay, bueno. So it's just an absurd idea to think that that kind of information is so easy to access. But at this moment, we have yet to ever hear of any major photos, videos, or documentation being leaked on blockchain, because it's so hard to actually to be able to crack when you're doing any type of decentralized storage. So a couple examples. IPFS, I talked about this with some of the hackers. Filecoin, Arweave, I talked about those two applications on Arweave that I really, really like, Accord and ArDrive. Amazing applications when it comes to decentralized storage. Next slide. And then privacy. Okay, so privacy is really cool because I really believe in something called decentralized identity. So decentralized identity can be used in many different ways to solve many different problems. But at the end of the day, what I like to look at it is I like to look at it as a way for me to build social credit that doesn't necessarily affect my personal life in any way if I want to. So if I want to go into a community and I want to build social credit by providing solid information, and then people can attest that they either like my information or that my information is true, I can gain credit and value towards my decentralized ID. Now, what happens when I gain value towards my decentralized ID? That means I might have additional access to features or maybe additional access to people. So this is really cool because NFTs was probably one of the first things that was used as like a decentralized identity. We see it all the time where somebody's profile image is a NFT. Well, why is that? Well, maybe that's one way that they identify. But in a sense, it's not necessarily saying that I identify as a bored ape or something like that. What it says is I identify as somebody that has access to an exclusive community, which is a really cool concept because, I mean, can you imagine having an NFT and saying that NFT gives me direct access to an amazing mastermind group? What if that mastermind group is some of the top engineers of the world, or maybe some of the top business people of the world, some of the top mindset coaches or anything like that? Okay, cool, I have access to that. But what if I have now received all the information and everything that I feel like I need from that group? Well, what am I going to do with that NFT? I can sell it. That is a high value chip. It's a seat at the table, and I have the opportunity to be able to give that to somebody else or to sell it to somebody else. And because of the amount of value that I might have gained from that group, maybe that seat at the table is even more valuable than what I paid for initially. So there's a lot of really cool things about decentralized ID. Another thing is with payments. We talked about this with the engineers as well. I can buy digital products, and sometimes I can buy physical products without giving all of my personal information. How many times do we have to pay things and you have to give your first name, your last name, your address, your full-on location, sometimes your phone number, and then sometimes, depending on what you're trying to do, maybe you have to give some of your social information, other social information, cedula, or your social security number, or anything like that. That is absolutely unnecessary. I should be able to buy things without necessarily having to even give my name. And you could do that with a decentralized ID or a crypto wallet very, very easily. I buy stuff all the time with my crypto wallet. So next slide. Okay, so startups are very different. I'm going to burn through this one, but as far as like when it comes to scalability and things like that, the really cool thing when it comes to DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations or anything, DAOs allow me to be able to actually scale various different businesses if I want, with a group of people, maybe like-minded or not like-minded, and we can, in a very decentralized way, vote on what needs to be scaled, what needs to be developed, and what needs to grow the community. So this is a really, really cool system, because at the end of the day, if I work for a community, I have a lot of say of what happens in that community. But if I work inside of a centralized, like a centralized governed startup, or even just a centralized business, then most of the time, it's my boss and the people that are above him that make the decisions. My boss probably doesn't make any decisions. He's just following the orders of the person above him. And then those people make the decisions. What I say very rarely affects the business in that sense. But what I do in Web3 in a decentralized autonomous organization, very much my decisions and my mindset and some of my suggestions go a long ways in DAOs. 5 minutes. So, thank you. Let's jump to the next slide. And next slide, because I kind of explained that one too. I just hit that one too. Go ahead. I'm going to try to get to the last couple parts. Okay, so at this point, I would like to maybe even ask you guys, let's build something. Can you guys give me ideas of what you think could be built that today we can benefit from? Maybe it doesn't have to necessarily be Colombia, but I'd like to say, okay, what is something that we can build here that could possibly solve a genuine problem that's happening maybe in Colombia or just in the world in general? Anybody have an idea? Go ahead.
Intellectual property registration.
Excellent. Okay, I love this one. Yeah, so this one's super cool because with intellectual property, if I post a blog, or if I have a really great photo, or it could be a lot of different things. That should be my ownership. But it's so easy to have somebody steal that kind of information from you, right? How many times have we seen that somebody's photos or videos were stolen and used on somebody else's social media for them to gain some sort of growth? That's asinine. And then, have you seen what it takes to actually have them take it down? Almost impossible. Why? Because the moment you posted that photo or you posted that video on Instagram or anything, I'm kind of hitting Instagram because they're the worst on this, you no longer own it. If you post a photo or video to Instagram, you don't own that information anymore. Instagram does. So if somebody steals it and they use it, technically they didn't steal it from you. They stole it from Instagram. But it's still in Instagram. So they really don't care. So how is that really honestly privacy or anything like that? Intellectual property. So, okay, so I have a couple ideas. First off, how do we be able to register that information with some sort of IP code? There's a great product on Arweave right now where when you upload anything, it comes with an IP hash. And that IP hash is hidden and it's encrypted by your crypto wallet. So you can only really show that IP hash. So if somebody steals that information from you, you basically now can say, show me the IP hash. And when they have no ability to be able to show that hash, but then you have the ability to show the hash, guess who owns it? It doesn't take some sort of crazy legal proceeding to see who created the photo, where were you when you posted this photo, what platform was it, who owns the platform. No, it goes down to that hash. It's super fast and easy way to do that. This is also a really great way to share medical research or scientific research or anything like that because you can prove infallibly who created that information. It's a great way, it's a great use case. Any other problems? Give me something. Come on, get spicy. Okay, let's think of any type of centralized service that you currently use. And let's try not to use anything that's social media because social media is pretty well answered with like Lens protocol and things like that. Which, by the way, you can download Orb. Orb is built on Lens protocol. And it basically is, to be honest, it's Web3 Twitter. It's a really great application. So I highly recommend downloading it. Any other decentralized ideas or anything that you find centralized that could be Web3? Go ahead.
Maybe something like GitHub.
Oh man, yes. I had a really cool idea for this like a couple days ago. Okay, so first off, when you push your code or anything, technically it's your code, but you know technically it's also GitHub's because you push it to GitHub kind of thing, and yeah, but then on top of that, let's say I'm going to go to this side. Let's say you just dropped an amazing GitHub repo that everybody is cloning. It's like, oh, dude, this is a great starter kit. This helps me build some sort of mobile application, or maybe it's a really great smart contract or something like that. Everybody's stealing it, which is kind of the intent of GitHub. You're making it public so that other people can use it. But what if some way you can gain other things other than just stars? Which is kind of like, Literally, I feel like I'm in kindergarten when I'm on GitHub, where oh yay, I got a gold star. Oh, there's another one. It does absolutely nothing for me, but other than the fact that I've got a bunch of gold stars. Now, what if you can decentralize that in a way where somebody just has to make a small transaction, just a small transaction, and that transaction is just to interact with that with that repo. So then now I'm actually getting some sort of small payment to be able to use the repo. And the repo cost is only the value of the size of the repo. So if it's a super small repo, really easy to build, then I'm only going to spend, maybe even like 10, 15, 25 cents to clone that repo. But what if you just built out this massive application that took you months to build and you made it decentralized? Well, everybody that clones it now is paying 30, 40, 50 possible dollars just in computation. And that computation, the majority of it goes to you. I mean, that's a really cool application for something like that. I would immediately quit GitHub if that happened. Yeah, I would immediately go Web3 on that one for sure. Any others before I cut this off? Any others? Come on, give me something super centralized that we can, that we can go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, last one.
Ads or something like this?
Centralized what?
Advertising.
Advertising, yes. Okay, so great question. This goes across IP as well, because so much information is obviously stolen from other people or other businesses. So decentralized advertising is a really, really cool idea. I forgot who's actually building this, but somebody's actually creating some sort of crypto hashes that allow for certain types of advertising. So yeah, absolutely, that's a great one. I would attribute that to more of like an IP thing too. Okay, so that's all the information that I can give today. I could probably talk for a couple more hours, but I appreciate you all listening, and thank you so much for participating. Thanks.
Man in the mirror, you can be a hero.